If you've been watching this channel for some time, you'll know that I've had a really interesting journey with the site of eBay. I started an eBay business in around March, I believe it was, of this year, and by July I was making about £10,000 a month in revenue and about £3,000 in profits. But from there, everything went downhill as my account got banned. For the past couple of months, I've been trying to think about why this might be. I've been trying to find out why it might be. I've been looking into it with eBay, and now I've got some news. I've got news on why I was banned. I've got news on how this can stop happening to you guys and how I can stop this happening to you guys by sharing this information. And also, I've got a shocking revelation as to what I'm doing about this and how this might change going forwards. So, to quickly break down the story for those who don't know, which is probably a lot of you guys, I started selling on eBay earlier this year, like I said. I started a shop which did really, really well, and I've been talking about this on the channel. Hopefully one day I can talk in a lot more detail about how you guys can start a really successful eBay business and scale it to a six-figure business in a matter of months in terms of revenue, but at the minute, let's just talk about it on a basic level. So I was selling a lot of watches, like literally hundreds of watches, and I had a ban come into my account. I had a few temporary suspensions based on illegitimate items or, fake goods. And then I spoke to eBay saying, well, these goods are not fake because they don't even have a brand name. To call them fake goods is pretty much stupid. There can be things that are similar, but they're not necessarily fakes. For instance, if I had a watch that said Rolex on it, that's a fake watch. If I have a chronograph watch, that is just a chronograph watch, it's not fake. It's the same thing with a similar design, but it doesn't have that name and it's got a different name on it or no name. So how they got me done for that, I did not understand, but well, it's eBay's platform and you've got to roll with their rules. Anyway, I got my account back and, ban after ban came. So at that point I was pretty demotivated with eBay. I left my account alone for about 2 or 3 weeks only, as I went away for a week or two to basically get my sort of mindset back to where I wanted it to be. So I took some time thinking about what I want to do, really just sort of escapism with some of the money that I made, just to have some fun. Why not? It was summer, it was a hot day, and I really enjoyed the week away that I had. But when I came back, I got an even worse notification from eBay. This was not, your account's been suspended like I normally got, and it's back in 7 days, 10 days, 14 days. This was much worse. Your account has been restricted permanently. So I look into this, and I was sat there for weeks just thinking about why this might be. I thought it was down to the volume of items that I was selling, because some YouTubers that I've seen who do eBay spoke about themselves getting banned because of that. And initially it did seem like that's what it was. So I got in contact with eBay, their customer support, didn't really get anything from some of the first workers, and they just left it for some weeks. I've got this YouTube channel to work on, I've got my blog, I've got several other businesses, and I wanted to leave eBay alone. I was a bit annoyed at them, to be honest. But think about it, this business was making me so much money, I can't give it up if I have the choice. So I got back in touch, I think it was last week, and I want some more information. So they said, this is what you have to do. It was, I believe, the MC011 ban, I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is roughly. So I was like, okay, how do I get this removed? The worker told me that there's a link that I can follow through to. The link took me to a certain site, and it said upload a few documents. Now, fortunately for me, I have all of the documents to prove the authenticity of my items. I have all of the documents to prove my purchasing of the items, so they're not stolen or mishandled goods or whatever. So I submitted everything, like really extensive records. I give my bank statements for the past 6 months. I gave my online bank statements, which provide some slightly different information due to being more up to date than the paper version, but never mind. I provide my driving license as a form of ID, front and back. I even provide a piece of software that I found out which literally shows where each product was sourced from and where it came from. So once I did that, I thought, this is me cleared, right? I can prove who I am. My name is who it says on the paper. My bank records show that each of these items are legit and have been bought legitimately. The source for them is clearly outlined. What can go wrong from here? Everything's right. And then I get back a couple of days later, because it takes them about 72 hours to respond, so 2 to 3 days. I get back and I have a look at the message. It says, fantastic, we appreciate that you've done this. But guess what? Your account is not reinstated. I look at it and I contact the customer service. This was this Friday. Obviously, it's now Sunday, so I've not had the chance to get back in touch because they're not going to respond outside of working hours. Anyway, so I come back into them and I'm like, what's going on? Why is my account not back? They said, we're going to change the question. So instead of being, submit your documents, all these records that I need, which I've already done, it's been made even more difficult. Now it's, can you prove that each of these items has been delivered? So we're talking about over 400 orders from the date of about the 3rd of March, actually, the 3rd of March, all the way till about the 10th of July. 400 orders. I've got to search through every single one of them. Now, some of these products were drop shipped, which is fine. That's not why I got the ban, by the way, but some of them were. They still arrived on time. But with these products, I got all of the tracking information, which is basically alright. I can add them all in, and that's probably about 200-300 of the products accounted for. Then I've got maybe 1 to 200 of the products accounted for through that. So 200 to 250 products are already done, no questions needed. And then I've got some other orders which say dispatch because they've not been marked as received, because they wouldn't do. But anyway, so from that point, I'm like, how can we solve this? So some of the items I've not updated tracking on because at the time I didn't think it mattered. But I still have a lot of the tracking details. So easy, we're going to put them in, and that's that sorted. That's maybe another 50 to 60 of them done. And now we come to the crux of the issue. Maybe the last 100 orders that I need to solve, let's say 25 to 30 of those are already sort of approved because it says that you can use positive feedback as confirmation as it's arrived. As of course, if it's not arrived, they're not going to leave positive feedback. So that was okay. That's another 25 to 30 orders done. And then we come to the real problem, right? When I started this shop, I was just selling items out of my room. The one that I'm in right now. I've got a load of items here that I can show you. I was just selling watches like this out of the room. And I didn't have any of the fancy equipment that I bought to run this business. I didn't have my lovely label printer which automatically updates tracking. I didn't even have a printer at all. So when I was sending something out, I'm packaging it up at my house, I'm taking it to the post office, and I'm sending it out by the cheapest method. Now, looking back, I can say that was not the best move, and if I was to tell anybody about how to run an eBay shop now, I would say, make sure everything's tracked. But I didn't know that at the time. I didn't have any guidance. No one around me does eBay. How would I know? So, with that being said, I took the information I had, and that was fine. No tracking for the products. So some of these have obviously been given positive feedback, but the rest of them, no tracking available. I don't have the tracking details. There was no tracking details to speak of, and, well, there's no way to really follow up on them. After, I think it's 30 days, you don't even get the option to contact the customer directly about their order. So I can't even say, hey, so-and-so, thanks for your order. Did your item arrive? If it did, please leave positive feedback, and the rest of it. Can't do that because the option has been removed. And that leaves me in a really difficult question now, with a really different position. On Friday, I sent an email, or maybe Thursday, something like that, about this, saying, how can I solve this? All of my items have been bought. I've shown this. All of my items have been sent. I can almost guarantee this. I mean, if we extrapolate the results, if I've sent 350 items, is it or is it not more likely that I'm a legit seller? If I've sold 412 items roughly, and I've sent 350 items confirmed, what's more likely? That I'm a scammer or that I'm a seller? So, I thought this would, bring some common sense out of eBay, and I'd get a decent response of, hey, so-and-so, or me, you have been an eBay seller for X amount of time. We can see that you've got X positive feedback. We can see that you've sent this many items out confirmed. I thought that'd be, right, time to go. We're back to selling. But no, I get the typical robot response that I really should have expected at this point. I get a, well, thank you, but you have not updated your tracking details. If your tracking details are up to date, let's continue with your process of appeal. When I literally sent them a message saying that I can't get the tracking details. So that was really stupid. And that's left me up at quite a difficult position right now, in the sense that I don't really know what I'm going to do about that. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but what I'm saying is, apart from the fact that, I've done everything that asked me to so far, there's nothing much more that I can do. So I guess I'm going to have to get in contact with eBay's people Monday morning or into Tuesday and continue to send them messages. But it really is quite disappointing that a platform as big as eBay, a company as big as eBay, don't think these things through. And by the way, in terms of why I got banned initially, like banned, not restricted or suspended or anything like that. Why I got properly banned, if you want to know what it is, I had 2 customers open a case, and again, because I took those weeks off, I wasn't here when I got the cases, which I would have, by the way, responded to positively, as in given them a refund or appealed it with eBay or whatever. When I got the 2 cases, I wasn't here. When I wasn't here, the cases got sent to eBay, eBay's problem. And because of that, we've had complaints about your account. Two mistakes that I didn't even know about. 2. And that was enough to get my account suspended, banned, all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, it is a rather unfortunate situation, but I am trying to make this comeback to eBay. And I've done everything that they ask. I've shown my bank statements to prove that orders have come in and out. I've shown where I get them from, shown my documentation. If I was doing anything to breach the law, or something that could get me in trouble on eBay, you've just seen my address, my name, my bank statements. You've got all this information about me, and you still, for some reason, don't believe that what I'm doing is legit. So, first case is going to be to give them an email, because right now I've been given the email that takes me straight to eBay customer support, and I guess that's all I can do. So you're going to send them an email tomorrow, because there's no point sending it out tonight, it won't get responded to. 72-hour wait, and if that doesn't work, or maybe simultaneously, I'm going to get on the contact to the agent and see what they can do. But I really think I'm just in a bit of a situation with eBay now, and I don't really think there's anything that I can do about it. If any of you guys have any suggestions, any ideas, please drop them in the comment section. But I hope you did find this video at least interesting. Now, one thing that I will say is, whilst I've made this mistake on eBay, it has been a collective learning experience for all of us. Now, you guys know, don't leave anything with eBay. Don't go on holiday and not check your eBay notifications. It might sound like common sense, and I knew it wasn't a best practice, but 2 weeks, no more sales, because obviously I was away, not going to make any sales. I thought I'd be fine, but make sure you're on top of everything with eBay. And by the way, as a precautionary measure, update tracking on everything. If you want to take this properly as a business, like a long-term business, get tracking on absolutely everything if you can afford it, if it makes sense for your products. But that's the thing though, for some people it won't make sense. For me, admittedly, it did make sense in the early days. I just didn't know what I was doing, trying to cheap out. But imagine if I was selling postcards, like I know some people on eBay do. Or, I don't know, some sort of card, something really light and cheap. I'm going to have to spend so much money on shipping, the business is going to be unviable. So it's been quite ridiculous, really. It's been quite upsetting. Maybe you can tell by the way that I'm ranting about it. But I wanted to keep you guys updated with all of my businesses. And more importantly, in a way, this video is for me as much as it is for you. Because sometimes I look back on these videos myself. This is sort of like a journal, a diary for me. And seeing how I'm doing in certain time periods, and seeing what's going well, what's going terribly. And right now, the eBay is one of those things which is going terribly. So, fingers crossed we get the account back. I'm not going to hold out much for it. But I'm going to have to try and do what I can, just for the money that I brought in, and for the fun that it also provided. Anyway, it's just a real shame that this has happened, and that it's going to be so difficult for such a minor issue. Especially when the customers did get refunded in the end by me. So, one of those ones. Anyway, thank you. I hope to see you again in our next video.